I'm John.
And this is Comicsplaining,
the show where we've got another format change.
Woohoo!
Woo!
Yeah, we're dropping Thor. We hate Thor.
Thor is bad, actually.
I don't hate Thor.
No.
Len has finally broken you.
Well, kind of, yeah.
That's fair. That's entirely fair.
I was just appreciating this cover where in the corner box, whoever colored it, had the presence of mind to not make Dani pink, and yet on the cover itself she still is.
Ooh, I didn't catch that. That's sad, actually.
Yeah.
It's inconsistent for sure. So what we're talking about here, we can't get to just yet. You guys want to tell me what happened last time? New Mutants and X-Men both, please?
Yes. The New Mutants were at the mall, and they got attacked by some...
Sentinels.
Well,
some government
We
guys.
skipped one small
the
thing
government.
happening with Dani. She was in the danger room.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't skip that, I just didn't remember what order it was in.
Oh, that's fine.
Yeah, she was trapped in the danger room by herself, and then it turned on, and she was running away. And she got away from this monster, but then she was attacked by a brood that said that her abilities would allow her to detect its presence.
So, was that a real brood in the danger room?
Kind of.
No, it was in the danger. It was in the danger room, but it was programmed. So
I thought it was like a mental projection.
I assumed there might actually be a real brood in the danger room.
No, I believe that was programmed into the simulation. But it could have been a mental projection. That's an interesting, considering what we learn later on in the issue.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't really see any reason to hold that off because we already read it.
It's Charles Xavier.
It's Charles, yeah, which is why I thought it was just a mental projection.
That would make sense.
I thought it was part of the simulation, but either way it works. So.
But yeah, she got jump scared so hard she fell off a cliff.
Yeah, and apparently falling off a cliff in the danger room is like falling off a cliff in real life.
If you die in the danger room, you die for real.
Exactly.
Meanwhile, the others got attacked at the mall by government goons and some sentinels, and another guy who is apparently Carol's ex.
Michael Rossi.
Okay, that guy. He showed up, and he helped them escape, basically. I mean, a bunch of other shit happened, obviously, but...
They kind of wrecked the mall.
It happens. It's the 80s. The mall will recover, so...
Only to die 2 decades later.
Yep. So they escaped, and they got home, and they found Dani, and Dani told them what happened, and Stevie realized, it was Charles. Meanwhile, in space with the X-Men, they returned to the Brood planet to fuck things up. And they were infiltrating, well, I guess what happened first is they reunited with Carol.
Yeah.
And then they were talking about going to go fuck up the Brood, but then Storm was like, hey, I have another idea that would also fuck up the Brood.
It would do an even better job at fucking up the Brood, and it would save people who need saving.
People.
Hey, they're people.
I guess they are people.
Space whales are people.
Space whales are people.
Yes. Basically, she wanted them to release this soul that was trapped in the former leader of the space whales,
who is currently
Prophet Singer.
Who is currently being used as one of the Brood's spaceships.
Right.
Well, it's been grounded and is actually like the city, the throne world.
Yeah. So that's what they were gonna do. They were infiltrating the underside of it, and it was not going super good because there was a bunch of beasties, and Scott was also kind of being a dick.
It turns out
for no specific reason.
No, this was just normal Scott levels of dick.
Yeah. And then Kitty got separated, and then she found a dragon friend. And then she found the soul, basically. And meanwhile, Wolverine figured out that Scott was already broodifying. He was brooding, which is normal for him. And so they were fighting, and then they all got captured by the Brood Queen. And then Kitty showed up and was like, hey, I found the thing. And everyone was like, cool. So they went there.
Well, first Wolverine managed to bust loose, and then the Brood were held captive.
Right, that's right. So he was holding the Queen captive, and then Kitty was like, I found the thing. And they were like, cool, let's go. And they brought the Queen with them.
Wasn't the Queen like, I can use this?
Yeah, basically. And it seemed like the brood eggs inside them and also the Queen were like corrupting the soul, but then Carol showed up and she used her powers to shoot the soul into the baby space whale that Storm was with. And
that Storm was in.
Well, yes. And that somehow purified the brood eggs in them. And so they were normal again, and it also crystallized the Queen.
I hope they took her home with them.
No, they didn't, because Sleaze World blew up right after that.
It did.
I would simply have the presence of mind to take the giant crystallized brood queen.
I love that Wolverine is the one who starts calling them sleazoids, but like once he does,
it catches on.
It does catch on, and by the time they leave it, everyone is calling the place Sleaze World.
I think that's really fun, honestly. It's like when one of your friends says something a lot, and then all your other friends start picking that up.
And now we're just calling
it
whatever.
And it becomes an inside joke.
We're just calling it whatever he calls it.
And then they escaped and everything was great, but then Logan was the bearer of bad news again, because he's like, hey, Checo still has a thing in him.
And unlike the rest of us, he wasn't purified in the soul of a space whale, so...
Right.
Yep, you got it pretty much dead on. So we are starting off here with New Mutants number 3 from January of 1983, written by Chris Claremont, penciled by Bob McLeod, inked by Mike Gustovich, colored by Glynis Wein, and lettered by Tom Orzechowski with a cover by Bob McLeod. Danielle Moonstar wakes with a start, shocked from dreamland by the crash of thunder. It's just a storm, but its ferocity unsettles the girl. Not nearly as much as the monstrous face that next appears on the window pane, the same as the monstrous creature that attacked her in the danger room. She draws her knife from its sheath and steps to the window, but by the time she crosses the room, the brood is gone, leaving her little choice but to either close the window or stand there and get soaked. She opts for the former, wondering if maybe her own powers are doing this to her. For half a second, until a shadow creature comes crashing through the wall, taunting, "If that is so, you have nothing to fear, for a phantom, a spirit form, cannot harm you."
Okay, Kool-Aid Man.
Cool.
I'm sorry, Dark Kool-Aid Man.
It then proves that wrong by grabbing hold of her. But if it can get a hold of Danny, she can fight back, and she drives her knife deep into the thing's chest. It does release Danielle, but it still keeps coming. Knowing she has no chance of fighting, Moonstar dashes away, screaming through the house, searching for her friends to help. She finds the friends, but they have no help to offer her. One by one they turn up, slain by their worst nightmares. Roberto cut down by gunfire, seemingly by Juliana.
Ooh.
Oof.
I have no idea what's going on with Sean.
I don't like it.
My best guess is this is her dead at the hands of the Thai pirates.
Yeah.
Sam's been buried alive, and Rain burned at the stake as a witch.
Oof.
That's some...
Dark.
They need therapy.
Well, yeah.
See tragic mutant backstories from last episode.
Yeah.
Yet again, the creature wraps a meaty arm around her waist, pulling her into a crushing grip. But still Danny fights back, grabbing a fistful of the thing's hair and pulling. To her shock, a mask pulls away, revealing the snarling snout of the great bear that killed her parents. She awakes safely in her bed with a loud scream, quickly bringing the boys running to find her weeping into her hands, convinced that she is losing it. Before long, everyone's gathered in her room, fretting over Danielle. But from what Charles can tell, there's nothing actually wrong with her. Not physically, anyway. Though the verdict is out on whether or not she's losing her mind. After Charles urges her to try to get some more sleep, Danny does her best, but she's still struggling with the thought of the monster coming back for seconds. Concerned, she grabs her knife once more, only to realize the blade still has blood on it.
Oof.
Somehow it was real.
Oh, no.
As frightened as she is reassured, Danny dashes from her bed to the professor's study, stopping only when she hears him shouting against a bad phone connection with Moira McTaggart. He's describing Danielle and her symptoms: extreme paranoia and schizophrenia. It's enough to cause her to slide down the wall in despair at her supposed declining mental state, considering turning the blade on herself. She has no idea that on the other end of the phone, Moira is dismissing the idea outright, outraged that Charles hasn't even attempted a mind scan on the girl. She slams the phone down in its cradle, because you could still do that instead of impotently stabbing at the end call button.
Now you throw your phone out a window, and it's not your problem anymore.
Well, it is,
$700
that's your phone.
later.
Yes, $700 is your problem, but the phone isn't.
Sean points out that she was maybe, just maybe, a little bit intense about it. He intuits that it's about Gabrielle's son, and Moira admits it. He's right on the money. She was in love with Charles way back when, and he's got this son now and his potential happiness where she only had pain. And she has to be the one to help him. It's just not fair. Cassidy then asks if she wouldn't want to get married, then pop out a few wee ones of their own, free of the emotional pain of Kevin's conception.
Oh, God.
Way to bring that up.
Yeah, that's not particularly romantic.
But Moira just can't take the risk of unleashing another danger like Proteus on the world again. The conversation heavy on his mind, Sean heads off on a walk where he finds Ilyana singing on a hill like a fucking Disney princess.
God.
Her song is in memory of Kitty and the X-Men, a tribute for Kit Kat's birthday.
Oh yeah, they still all think they're dead.
Yeah.
Sean tries to reassure her, but he has no idea that her thoughts dwell in limbo where her friends died, some at her hands.
I guess she got to experience alternate deaths.
Danielle plunges into the cool waters of the pool for her morning laps. She's swimming naked because we can't know a moment's fucking peace.
God.
This is a child. I don't know which of you keeps doing this. It's whatever with Aurora, but Danielle is what, 14, 15, 16?
There's also a weird fetishization going on here because it's the black woman and the native girl.
Yeah. Anyway, Sean meets her at the pool's edge with a towel, here to talk. Danny's afraid, but not for her mental health. She's worried the professor is out to get her. Speaking of the professor, he's working with Cannonball in the danger room. The boy flies full force into a cushioning pad, hard enough that he's seeing stars in the aftermath. He hits hard. Let's see how steering goes. Xavier set up an obstacle course of hoops for Sam to fly through, because of course he fucking has.
I thought I was invulnerable when I was blasted. Guess I was wrong. I also thought that, Sam.
I was under the general impression that was your ability.
Well, he's nigh invulnerable.
There we go.
Yeah.
Had to add that.
Completely.
Had to add that nigh on there.
Exactly.
The first he nails without a hitch. The second, not so much.
Well, he does nail it.
He does definitely nail it. It is a thing he does do.
Steering is still very much a problem for young Mr. Guthrie. He collides painfully with the hoop, but is largely okay apart from the blow to his ego.
The hoop? Maybe not so much.
Yeah, the hoop's looking a little rough. He's ready to go again whenever, though. After he cleans up from practice, Sam lathers up his face for a shave. At 16, it's probably more aspirational than anything.
Yeah, it looked like that.
But there might be some scraggly mustache hairs or something. Suddenly, midway through shaving, he blanks out, confused to see a message written in shaving cream on the mirror. Meet us in the boathouse. It takes him only a second to figure out that only Karma could have done this to him, and he's pissed.
Understandably.
Suiting up to stomp off to the boathouse and give Sean a piece of his mind. Turns out he's not the only one she's done this to. He is, in fact, the last one to arrive to hear Danny's story. And so she explains. The others might be willing to hear her out, but Sam's still got a good deal of doubt in her story. After all, they're all still ticking, when according to Moonstar, they should all be dead. Besides, if Xavier wanted her out, he's in charge of the school. It wouldn't be hard to just give her the boot. He turns for the door to head back up to the school, but is so shocked by what he sees, he instead slams the door back shut. But with that kind of temptation, everyone has to know.
Obviously.
What the hell is that?
Within moments, they're all piled up in the doorway, peering out into the alien landscape beyond. They're not entirely sure what to do. Xavier is either the cause or a victim, and he's trapped or lurking across the grounds. Going across the lawn in its current state is sure to get them lost, but Danny's got another idea. There are all kinds of tunnels worming around the grounds of the school, including somehow here to the boathouse. If they could use them, they could get back to the house. Sure, they're not supposed to be using them, but Danny has been anyway. So at least her disobedience is coming in handy. Opening the tunnel system, at first things seem normal. Then suddenly a tentacle reaches out from inside and yoinks Moonstar in.
Because of course it does.
Yeah.
At first no one does anything. Stunned, then Karma moves into action. She attempts to possess the creature, but its thoughts are so foul that she immediately breaks off the attempt. Psyche's efforts to use her spirit forms to defend herself don't go much better. They don't actually go at all, leaving her helpless against the Brood Queen's attack, still wrapped in her coils. The more physically suited New Mutants might have something to say about that, though. Wolfsbean.
She does have beans.
She do.
I would be careful touching them.
Do you think she gets ticklish?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
On the beans? Yeah.
On the beans. Wolfsbane dives into her lupine form and clamps down hard on one of the Brood Queen's legs, causing her to cry out in pain. That's when Cannonball blasts onto the scene, catching her full in the midgut, shaking Rain loose with the impact. But after the stars clear from his vision again, there's no Brood Queen to be seen. Just a gooey-looking organic hole where the metallic tunnel used to continue.
Well, that ain't right.
Danielle's head throbs.
Show hole.
But look...
Sorry, I just... Organic hole. Just like... Yup. Sorry.
Danielle's head throbs.
Still laughing at show hole.
But luckily, otherwise she's alright. For now, what remains to be seen is what's going to happen to them if they continue ahead. That's Brain's main concern, that they may be transformed like the tunnel. Berto offers her his hand, but he's resolute that they have to continue ahead to rescue their mentor. As they continue, things only get gooier, though they note that the illusions still do seem to match the general layout of the house, so it's more like an overlay than a reality warp.
This is matching my theory that the Brood from the last issue was a mental projection.
You know, that makes sense.
Maybe. Sean theorizes that they're only facing off against one opponent. That's when the wall tentacle reaches out to snare Roberto, dragging him back against the wall, disproving Sean's theory. The very environment is against them here.
Well, the wall tentacles do track for Charles.
You know what? At least they're equal opportunity tentacles.
Yeah.
Right, it makes sense. It's just mapped onto the school.
Exactly.
It's just Charles's typical wall tentacles.
Yes,
Exactly.
he's normal wall tentacles.
We all know about the wall tentacles.
We've all seen the wall tentacles.
We have.
Weird he rebuilt them into the mansion, but not that weird.
Not that weird.
It's not
he
actually...
was clearly invested in the wall tentacles, okay?
Man needs his wall tentacles. He needs them. They are a requirement. No, there will be no questions on the wall tentacles.
Whatever happened to Chuck's robo-legs? We never saw from them again.
Well,
I forgot that even happened.
They aren't as integral as the wall tentacles.
I just remembered them because there was the one time he was walking with the robo-legs and he slipped and then the wall tentacles caught him.
That's right. Yeah.
I think he got very attached to the wall tentacles and not so much the robo-legs.
Yeah.
And
the robo-legs failed him. The wall tentacles caught him in his moment of need.
Yes.
Rain wants to save him, but he's got this, and quickly tears himself free of the tentacles. Proof that it's Chuck if we ever needed it. Just then, the Brood Queen returns, seizing Danny from behind.
Why Danny? Well, we know why Danny, I guess.
The girl fruitlessly attempts to struggle free, and this time the Queen brought company to keep Moonstar's little friends busy too. Her brain screams with pain as she tries to free herself, but all she finds is blackness. On the other side of that blackness, Danielle awakens to find herself cocooned in silk, staring down the brood. She's confused as to why she's still alive and asks as much. After all, Queenie tried to murder her back in the danger room. But you see, the Queen's had a change of heart, or more like a great new idea. She's going to implant a brood embryo in each of their chests to birth new special brood queens.
Yep.
No one said the brood had a ton of creativity amongst themselves.
No, there's no creativity in these guys.
They've got one plan.
And
maybe two plans.
And it has been lifted from Alien, or at least in part.
Also Chimera ants.
Yes, because the Chimera ants are definitely older than
the brood. Totally. Okay, but the thing where they take over the host powers, that to me is more Chimera ants.
Yeah. I'm guessing he might have read X-Men.
Maybe. Probably.
One of the most popular comics of the 80s.
Yeah, probably.
The brood shows the nightmare of Danny's friends transforming into more brood, and as it does, her head is pounding as it does when she uses her powers. She doesn't get it, so the brood explains. She's been using Danny to make her spirit forms to create all the things they've been encountering.
Mm-hmm.
Ew.
That boggles Danny because she can't do half the shit she's been doing. To which the brood pretty much says, yet.
Right? You just don't know how, but you have the capability.
You're way more powerful than you think you are.
Like, you might not know how to change the oil in your car, but you have hands.
Yeah, but I don't know how to change the oil in my car, and I never will.
Exactly. But you have hands. So...
I could, theoretically.
So in theory, if someone was mind controlling you...
They could change the oil.
They could make you change the oil in your car.
True. Now, okay, now I just have to find someone who's willing to mind control me to help me change my oil.
That's the dream.
That'll save you maintenance costs.
Yes.
Yep.
Now, where can I find, I don't know, a person with mind control or a demon or something who can just get me through basic...
But this person with mind control also has to know how to change oil in the first place.
Well, they could just be watching a YouTube video or something.
Hey,
I love this image. Mind control watching a YouTube video. You can't see this. No one can see me leaned off to the side with my fingers pressed to my temples.
This could be a service on Fiverr.
That's wow. That's probably a thing in the Marvel Universe.
Oh, God.
Do you need help doing something? Just pay here and I will do it for you with your body.
Wow.
Ask your friendly telepath.
That's nightmarish.
A little bit.
Luckily, that's when Danielle's friends come bursting into Xavier's study to rescue her. While the boys work on pummeling the Brood Queen, Sean hurries to Danny's side. She's quick to instruct her that she's the key, directing her to possess her. But when Sean follows her directions, she finds herself instead possessed through the Queen's link with Moonstar.
Ugh.
Karma turns on her friends, but it doesn't last long. Sunspot elbows her in the gut, and that's about enough of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, good luck with that, Brood Queen.
And enough of the Brood Queen, too. The boys have no idea where it went, seemingly having vanished again.
Cool. Because it's not really there.
It doesn't last long. Mere moments later, she strikes Rain from behind, dashing her upon the floor. Realizing how bad everything is getting, Danny calls out for Sam to take her out instead to stop all the chaos. The Brood Queen cries out in alarm, but there's no stopping him. He blasts across the room and belts Danny out cold, and just like that, the madness stops. He marvels that she really must have been crazy after all.
Wow, Sam, you're kind of being a shithead in this issue.
Cringe, bruh.
Little bit. But Sean clarifies a little, answering that the alien presence she felt in Danielle's mind was all too real.
Yeah, no, that's a little hard to fake, actually.
They're readying to haul Danny down to the infirmary when Charles wheels onto the scene, wanting to know what the hell has happened to his study?
That's a good question.
Later that evening, after nightfall, Roberto and Danny sit on the porch, looking up at the stars. She's hurting, but luckily her jaw's not broken. That might be more than can be said about her nerves. The Brood Queen weighs heavy on her mind, ever conscious that it's waiting for her. Part of her thinks that she should leave so she doesn't expose the lot of them to the danger of knowing her. Berto thinks that's ridiculous. They're friends, and they'll stick together. It doesn't completely solve Danny's nerves. She still thinks Xavier might be behind this. Which Roberto tries to reassure her isn't the case. But Danielle doesn't really buy it. As a shooting star passes overhead, Sam pops his head out the door. Magnum P.I. is about to start, so you know everybody's got to gather around TV for some of that hard-hitting Tom Selleck action.
God.
Oh, God, yeah, that sure is a television show.
How'd y'all like that?
4.
That was pretty good.
4.5.
Well, I think I'm gonna give it a 4, but I still do not make children naked.
True.
Yeah, ooh.
You know what? I'm gonna take it back down to a 4 for that.
Yeah, 4.
Naked teenager.
Don't do that. Come on.
How do you think CMRO liked it?
Come on.
What do I think it's rated on CMRO? 3.
3.5?
You were pretty close, John. 3.55.
Huh.
Wow.
Next up is Uncanny X-Men 167 from December of 1982, written by Chris Claremont, penciled by Paul Smith, inked by Bob Wysek, colored by Glynis Wein and Andy Yankus, lettered by Tom Orzechowski, with a cover by Paul Smith and Bob Wysek.
Look how small Wolverine is. He barely crosses Aurora's shoulder.
Yeah,
He's got his head bowed.
he does.
But still.
No, he's very much shorter than her. Because she's pretty tall.
She is very tall. He's the impressive thing is he's shorter than Kitty.
Yeah, that's what I was
Yeah.
looking at, honestly.
The New Mutants sit huddled around the television set, watching the adventures of Thomas Magnum.
Wow, we really are just continuing from the last one.
That's why we had to handle it in this order. When suddenly utter chaos erupts around them, the doors and windows shattering inwards as the X-Men burst into the room, sending snacks flying.
Well, that's one way to enter a room.
Yeah, Cyclops poses a bit much.
Little extra.
I mean, yeah, but Colossus and Logan just fucking crashed through the window.
They do. Come on, guys. That just got rebuilt.
I mean, to be fair, Scott's not doing much better to the door.
Yeah.
Wait, why did he have to shoot the door?
He didn't.
No one had to do any of this.
Exactly. They could have knocked.
Cannonball is the first to react, spurring the others into action as he decides to show Colossus back out through the window the way he came in. Meanwhile, as Sykes scatters the other kids with an optic blast, Kitty Pryde, taking fashion cues from Corsair, sneaks in upstairs searching for the professor. Psyche is next into the fray, hitting Cyclops with his worst fear, losing control of his optic blasts.
With big teeth and claws?
Yeah, that's a look, alright.
I don't see how that relates.
It's scarier.
It's super scary.
It gets him out of the fight while the others target his friends. Wolfsbane leaps at Nightcrawler, shifting into her wolfen form, while Sunspot decides to take a crack at Wolverine. He quickly regrets it as Logan decks him and takes him right back out of the fight.
Woof.
Yeah, I suppose someone had to be the indestructible one here.
I mean, at least he's using blunt force trauma.
That's true. I'm not sure what would have happened if he used Sharp Force.
But that doesn't mean the New Mutants have given up on him. Karma's not going to let him just climb the stairs and go after their mentor. She attempts to possess his mind, unsuccessfully.
Which is news.
No stated reason, it just doesn't work.
Okay, hey, Wolverine, how are you that overpowered already?
He's old.
As Kit Kat finishes mounting the stairs, part of her suspects the New Mutants are here to serve as hosts, but she is relieved to find Xavier still human and asleep in his study. She should have fired her blaster while she had the chance. When she calls out for him, Xavier does indeed wake up, warning sinisterly that her hesitation will cost her. And so, hoping it's not too late, she fires.
With a Zark.
Roberto hears the blaster fire, and quickly he's back on the stairs, heading to his mentor's defense with just one obstacle in his way. Wolverine.
Yeah, stronger people than you have tried, my guy.
Pretty big obstacle.
Pipsqueak wants a rematch, but Baby Boy still isn't up to the task and gets belted away for his trouble.
He keeps trying, at least.
Hey, I'll give him credit. He took a punch from Wolverine.
He took 2 punches from Wolverine.
Yeah, but I don't know if he's gotten up from the second one.
We'll see.
Meanwhile, Kurt bamfs back away from Rain to crack Danny and Sean's noggins together. The New Mutants are just about dealt with now.
Ouch.
It does say that.
Ouch.
Which is good news, I suppose, because Kitty comes flying over the railing, completely limp. Xavier wheeling out behind her with an evil speech bubble.
Dun, dun, dun.
He's here to fuck the X-Men shit up.
But where's his visible stink cloud?
To their horror, the X-Men watch as the Professor's body is transformed in seemingly the blink of an eye.
Oh boy.
Though in fairness,
Wow.
it seems to have been mentally going on for some time now.
Great.
Well, rip the Professor. I guess he'll never get better.
No, he's never gonna appear again. He's dead forever.
The Brood launches itself down from the landing at the X-Men, but the high ground doesn't always win the day, Obi-Wan.
See, this is the problem. When you have punch beams in your eyes, the high ground isn't very helpful.
The Chuck Brood gets optic blasted clear out the window, right into Colossus's territory. Good timing, too. He just finished wiping the floor with Cannonball. He's ready for a new dance partner. But the X-Brood is ready for him, too, able to use his own thoughts and plans against him.
Oh no.
Though just what those plans are, we don't get to see, as the X-Men and the New Mutants close in. But when we catch back up with Piotr, his limp body is gripped tight in one of X's tendrils, an easy projectile to throw at his friends. It doesn't really work. Logan just uses Colossus as a springboard to dive at Professor
Boing.
Brood from. It puts him in perfect position to draw his claws, slicing off yet another set of stingers for his trophy collection.
Man, you can have so many of those.
And that seriously pisses off the young Brood Queen, and she side blasts him off across the lawn. Feeling guilty over their meager attempts to fight the X-Men earlier, Karma tries to tag herself in, but yet again finds the Brood Queen entirely too nasty to possess.
Beep.
Having learned nothing from the past 2 times she's tried this.
Well, it's the only hammer she's got.
Yeah, true. She needs to learn how to punch things.
Yeah.
Give her a gun.
You know what?
She did have a gun that one time,
That's
and then
true.
she did alright with it for herself.
She deserves it.
I've got wine on my glasses now.
Good.
Not good.
Karma, but with a gun. Wounded, the Brood attempts to flee.
That was a mistake.
Better to lose the battle and win the war. There's no ruling Earth if you let the X-Men kill you.
Well, true, I guess.
So she takes wing, only to find that the sky is no refuge for her.
Ha ha ha.
If anything, it's worse.
Probably worse, yeah.
The young queen tries to fly away, but Binary decks her, setting up for Storm's winds to knock her down to the ground. The rest of the X-Men waste no time hustling to Xavier Brood's side to finish what Aurora couldn't bring herself to do. Logan's ready to finish the job, but Scott steps forward, feeling it's his job. He stands over his father figure, apologizing, but to his shock, there are no hard feelings. Xavier's been resisting the mental change to the best of his ability, helped by the shock of Storm's attack, but that can't last forever. While he's in control, he begs for Scott to finish him off, but with X back behind the wheel, Summers' will flags. He can't go through this again. They have to try to save him. I love this panel where he asks if there are any objections from Logan and Aurora, and they're respectively like lots and none.
Yeah.
Perfect characterization.
Yeah.
Scott's moonshot plan to save the professor soon finds everyone, including Moira and Ilyana, back aboard the Starjammer. They can't reverse the transformation, but via some tissue samples Sikorsky got the last time they looked Charles over, they have a plan B. Clone him a new body and transfer his consciousness over into it.
What the fuck?
It's too easy, right?
Yeah.
They're not actually sure if it's going to work, but they are going to try.
Wait, so we're potentially making an evil Professor Xavier. like
so normal then.
No, a more evil Professor
evil.
Xavier.
Shit.
Meanwhile, Kit Kat begins to awaken from the Brood Queen's attack, looking none the worse for the wear. She's delighted to see the Rasputins waiting around her bedside, and joyously wraps her arms around both. Truth be told, the sight makes Aurora feel a little bit lonely, watching her little girl growing up so fast.
Aww.
She steps away to find some company elsewhere, soon coming upon Kurt, looking down on the New Mutants as they take in the view of Earth from orbit. They're just kids, and like kids, he worries they're not going to be chill about his appearance. But Aurora tries to reassure him that, like Kitty, they'll get over it in time.
Aww.
Over the interminable waiting, we find Scott and Chris talking. Scott's obviously having issues with Xavier's current state, but they're mostly discussing Chris. He doesn't plan to stay long term. Earth just doesn't agree with him anymore. He's a man out of time in a way.
My guy, you could be a man in time if you chose to be. It's a choice. You have kids down there.
Scott asks if he'll take him with him when he leaves, which he's down for if Scott is. But the next step on their bizarre family reunion flowchart is to meet up with Scott's grandparents that he didn't remember having.
Cool.
Oh.
Yeah, they also never figured into Christopher's mental mathematics either.
God.
My guy, you have an actual family.
A whole-ass family, children, parents.
Like you're not an orphan.
Well, guess I'll stay in space forever.
Nobody.
My wife died. Guess goodbye, Earth.
Yep.
Their moment is interrupted by the arrival of Raza, Hepzibah, and a visitor, Gladiator of the Imperial Guard, here in his usual good humor.
This bitch.
This is gonna be fun.
There's no love lost between him and the Starjammers, but he's not here for that. He needs to speak with the Majestrix. When he arrives to speak with his Empress, Lilandra is deep in thought about her injured love and endangered empire at the hands of her devious sister, Deathbird. Gladiator doesn't have any reassuring news for her on that front. DB is indeed a despot, making a proper muck of things. But wait, there's more!
Oh no.
We have to talk to you about the Space Hicks. You wouldn't believe what they've done now, Your Majesty! When recently Galactus, Devourer of Worlds, made his most recent buffet run to Earth, he was actually coming there to die.
Oh.
He can do that.
But a certain Reed Richards just couldn't let that happen, instead healing the World Eater and hooking him up with a new Herald.
Reed! You stop that!
Oh, I hope the Herald was an unthinking machine like Thor did that one time.
Reed, no! Bad Reed! Let Galactus die! The galaxy is better off!
Why? Why would he do that?
Look, this is why Reed Richards is the worst.
He's terrible.
He is just the worst.
You know what? I bet he was like, I could fix this, and then he was like,
Are you telling me Reed Richards is like, I can fix him?
No,
I think he was like, this is a fun challenge, and I have to prove I can do it.
Reed Richards is...
And I thought of it, and therefore it must be a good idea.
Reed Richards is the kind of guy who looks at something and says, I can fix it, when he actually means, I can make it worse.
Yeah.
Hearing this makes Lil hit the roof.
Yeah.
She shatters the wine glass she's holding in her grip. Fucking Space Hicks!
Yeah. Space Tucky back at it again.
Down on planet Earth, the Fantastic Four lie sleeping peacefully and nakedly in their beds because the X-Books are horny.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, separately in their beds, obviously. They're not all in the same room. No, they're not. They're related.
Yeah. Lalandra pays that little mind when her hologram appears in the middle of Reed and Sue's bedroom, clad in golden armor as she calls them out for their actions, warning that should Galactus do as he do and nom any inhabited worlds and she find out about it, it'll be their asses on the line.
Look, see, this is what you have to do because the Fantastic Four do not answer their phone.
It's true, they don't.
You have to come in as a hologram
or
teleport or whatever she did and threaten them personally.
To their faces.
It needs that personal touch or they will not get the message.
It's true.
She then disappears, leaving the hollow thread of a deposed empress hanging heavy in the air. Not that they need to know that.
Right.
Supposedly, this is more of the beef between John Byrne and Chris Claremont.
Oh, my God. Really?
He didn't like something that John Byrne did when he was writing Fantastic Four.
That, I guess.
Amazing.
That's really funny.
It's really funny, internal beef. It's like they stopped working together. Whatever the fuck the fallout was, excellent. Just not friends anymore.
But you still gotta work together.
Wasn't John Byrne the one who really wanted Kitty and Piotr to be a thing?
I don't know. I don't remember.
I feel like I remember that coming up at some point.
Maybe you heard that on Comic Tropes or something.
Probably.
I'd love to know more about the beef.
We like comic tropes.
We like comic tropes, don't we, folks?
Speaking of inside jokes.
You've infected my brain.
I have infected your brain. She's only just finished her call to Earth when the doors to the med bay open with great news. Chuck is alive! And what's more, since this is a cloned body without the crush damage to his legs, he can stand again. Walk again.
So, just like his house, he's been fixed perfectly.
Great. Love it. This surely isn't a bad idea.
He moves to take a step, but collapses forward in pain. Maybe it's not that easy, after all. Chuck proposes that, ever since my legs were crushed, I've used my psi powers to black the pain. Else, even after they healed, more or less, the nerves were still badly traumatized. The slightest pressure, even the attempt to stand, meant unbearable agony. Now, though there is no physical pain, a psychosomatic response evidently exists, as crippling as the original. I can walk, but my mind won't let me.
Interesting.
So he needs physical therapy, and that's pretty much the plan.
He's gonna get physical therapy? For real?
Of a sort. With the happy news filling their hearts, Charles introduces his X-Men to the New Mutants, dropping the bombshell that going forward, Kitty will be leaving the team to join the New Mutants, a much more age-appropriate group for her.
I suppose?
Yeah.
I mean, that's...
It's more age-appropriate.
That is true.
I mean, it is completely, utterly true. She's a 14-year-old in a group of adults. Yeah. It's more age-appropriate, and it's also safer. In theory.
How'd y'all like that?
I don't know. I feel like...
It's kind of all over the place.
Well, no, I feel like the whole cloning him to completely mitigate the stakes of it was a little bit of a downturn.
Deus ex machina our way out of the problem.
Yeah.
Well, also, at this point, we know...
Within the same issue... is what gets me. Like, if he'd been dead for a while and then they were like, hey, we could maybe make a clone, and they had to go through a whole process and it had actually been built up and then had some payoff, That would have felt better.
It's like I said at the time, it's too easy, right?
Yes.
It's too easy, and the thing is, knowing it's too easy, clearly, it's too obvious this can't possibly have worked right. He's come back wrong. like, it's not even subtle. Otherwise, he either came back wrong, or this is the worst way to end this storyline ever. Because, we had to go into the soul of a space whale enslaved by the Brood to fix the rest of them. But Chuck? No, we can just clone him a body and move his mind. Problem solved.
Surely that will work out.
It's too easy.
It is.
What do you think CMRO thought about it?
Well, I'm giving
4. Well, yeah, John, what do you rate?
Yeah, what? Yeah.
Neither of us rated it.
Neither of
right.
we did, actually.
4.
I'm gonna give it a 3.
Yeah? I was thinking about it.
In one way or another, it feels too easy.
Mm-hmm.
It's either too easy because it's setting up for the obvious he came back wrong, or it's too easy because we don't care about what we just did and we put Chuck in the wrong place and now we have to fix it, so it's done, it's over. It's too easy.
I'm at a 3.5. There were some cool art panels. I really liked some of the body horror panels of the Professor Head transformation.
Oh, yeah.
I did too. It was really
neat.
creepy. It reminded me of that one episode of Doctor Who where the guy's face turns into a gas mask.
But I still feel like it was too easy.
Yeah.
Just overall too easy.
You know what? I'm going to go with a 3.5 too.
What do you think CMRO thought?
4.
Oh, I think they liked it. Yeah, 4.
3.85.
They liked it more than the last one.
Yeah.
Next up for us is going to be kind of a weird one, but it is Special Edition X-Men from November of 1982.
What the hell is that face?
Written by Chris Claremont, penciled by Dave Cockrum, inked by Hilary Barta, colored by Andy Yankus, and lettered by Tom Orzechowski, with a cover by Dave Cockrum and Ron Zalma.
And who's David Cody Weiss?
Great question.
The second letter.
The second letter who didn't make it onto the fucking CMRO page.
Oh, no.
Sorry, David.
Yeah, you just don't get credit for this. Rip you.
Also lettered by David Cody Weiss.
Whoever the fuck that is.
But
whoever the fuck that is. Fun fact, don't know who you are. Anyway, we've got one new name apart from David, who I can't tell you shit about.
Sorry. Sorry, David.
He is here.
One new name is Hilary Barta. What can I tell you about him? Not a ton. He's done a lot of humor work. He's been in the industry for quite a while, but fun fact, he links his own Wikipedia on his About page.
Fantastic.
That's cheating.
Work smarter, not harder.
So time to troll his Wikipedia entry, and... No, don't do that, folks.
Don't do that to the good editors on Wikipedia.
Nothing's going right for Kit Kat today. She woke up on the wrong side of the bed, and then when she tried to find Aurora, or for that matter anyone else to share her woes with, she found the house pretty much empty. And so she's fallen to working out to try to move beyond her funk, working a gymnastics routine on the uneven bars. But that doesn't go any better than anything else this morning, and on one flip, her hand slips, sending the girl plunging down to land painfully on her shoulder.
Oof.
Unluckily for her pride, she's not alone for the first time today, as Ilyanas just so happened to be walking by, exploring the house again.
For her pride?
Wah, wah.
It's a large property. Even Ilyana's multiple excursions haven't given her a full grasp of the place, so Kitty offers to give her a tour. And this is where I have to address what this story is. It's largely a tour of the X-Mansion, so we're going to do a good deal of skimming, but there are some fun nuggets of characterization, per the usual Claremont.
So this is for all those people who are recent additions to the X-Men family.
Right, because this issue, the front half of it, is a rerun of Second Genesis, the Krakoa story.
Ah.
Okay.
So this is to be paired with that for new readers, onboarding them.
Okay, makes sense.
And not everyone's been there seeing the X-Mansion become the X-Mansion.
Because X-Men actually has continuity.
For now.
Oh, forever.
Forever. Yeah.
There's no escaping.
Oh, no.
You get tangled in it, man.
You say it while smoking a cigarette.
Guys,
I've been in the trenches.
What you can't see is the 1,000-yard stare Ripley just had. Ripley staring off into the middle distance as they consider all the continuity.
So, I figured we'd breeze through this. Kit Kat airwalks up to the control room to show off the Danger Room's capabilities to generate a perfect training simulation for anyone or anything. She then takes Ileana up to the professor's office, where she admittedly says they're not supposed to be.
But they're going there anyway.
Well, they're teenagers.
Yeah.
Isn't it great how many people just go wherever they want, even though they're not supposed to be there in the mansion?
Well, they're teenagers, so...
Yep.
Chuck should expect this.
I don't think he does.
He should be used to it by now.
Exactly.
He should know.
He probably does, and that's why they can even get there.
And she explains Cerebro's functions as they go. The girls then climb up into the attic and into Aurora's room, taking a moment to admire all of her plants and some mementos from her journey across Africa as a youth. Kit Kat believes she killed someone, but also fell in love. They then stop for some reason to tour Jean's empty room.
Cool.
Which was, remember, this is a rebuilt mansion from scratch.
Yeah.
So Jean now has an empty room she never technically occupied.
Mm-hmm.
Filled with mementos that were never technically hers.
No, it's empty.
It's empty. There ain't shit there.
It's just designated for her.
Oh, God. Why does she...
Why is it furnished at all in that case? There's a perfectly good bed in there that someone else could be using.
You know
it
what?
really
You're right.
seems like they just forgot that, are trying to make us forget that they destroyed the mansion.
Honestly?
Like, really hard.
They are. They are trying to make us forget they destroyed the mansion.
Mm-hmm.
But the mansion only has the holograms because they destroyed it.
That's true. They want the benefit of having destroyed the mansion without the cost of having destroyed the mansion.
And so it only has continuity when it's beneficial.
Ain't that the truth?
They then dip next door to Scott's room. We've got a model of the Blackbird and the space shuttle. We've also got a picture with Dad and Alex and one of Jean.
And a typewriter?
And a computer.
Yep.
Next stop, Logan's room. Note the pictures of his waifu Mariko and Carol.
Yeah. And the weeaboo flair.
Wow.
He literally has paper screen doors.
Yep, he's also got a bonsai tree.
Why does he have a picture of Carol?
That's actually a really good question.
Next to his waifu.
He keeps them together. Why? Wolverine, Logan, my guy, why are you like this? I have so many questions.
They next stop in at Kurt's room, and he has a fucking jungle gym in his room.
Of course he does. He also has a painting of himself above the mantle.
As a swashbuckling rogue.
Of course.
I gotta give him credit, though. When we met him, he never would have done that.
We also get to meet Colonel Pterodactyly, a tiny pterodactyl he picked up on one of their journeys to the Savage Land.
When did that happen?
Great question. Would love to know that.
Kurt loves comic strips and puns.
Continuing along, Ileana is familiar with Piotr's room. Ever the artist, he's got a painting up on his easel, and that gets the two talking about Ileana's big brother. Kitty thinks he has the soul of a poet, though Piotr doesn't agree, finding himself too unskilled to get his feelings across.
Mm-hmm.
But Kit Kat just doesn't see it that way at all.
Of course she has a huge crush on him.
As they dip back to their room for Kat to change...
Garfield?
The subject remains on
Garfield
Piotr.
spotted.
He's just there. It's literally just Garfield. Garfield, the Muppets, E.T.
Well, we know the Muppets.
Darth Vader.
We know the Muppets are Ileana. She's got her Fozzie Bear.
Who's the purple mouse?
It's a purple mouse.
And there's a cat playing guitar?
Yeah.
But I recognize far too much of that.
I mean, they're teenagers in the 80s.
Yeah, and we never really were able to escape the 80s, were we, folks? If it's an IP from the 80s, it's still probably kicking around today.
See, Ghostbusters movie just came out.
Yeah.
Yep. Although they're not comedies anymore. What's going on with that, guys?
Let's not.
Unga Bunga reboots.
I don't mind reboots, but turning a comedy into a drama?
I mind reboots. Not on principle, but, like, most of them are just cash grabs.
That's fair. There actually used to be a purpose to them.
But let's continue.
As they dip back to their room for Kat to change, the subject remains on Pyotr. Ilyana wants to know if the two of them are together. Which Kitty rolls her eyes at, pointing out the age difference. To which Ilyana conjures up similarities to Romeo and Juliet. Don't worry, Kit Kat points out how badly that worked out.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ilyana, you're a bad influence, aren't you?
She's also a teenager. She has the same bad judgment.
Yeah. Also, she's a teenager who grew up in limbo.
Yes. So probably worse judgment.
Yeah.
She's just afraid of her feelings. They're a little intense. But to Ilyana, that's just love. As the girls pass by the pool on their way down to the lake, they have no idea that their progress is being monitored via security cameras.
Gasp.
Oh, fun.
A voice speaks to others off-panel, ushering them to prepare a welcome for the girls that they'll not soon forget.
Jesus Christ.
I already know what the twist is gonna be.
Extra much, Mr. Baldhead?
They reach the next stop on their tour at the boathouse. The discussion of love hasn't really helped Kitty's low mood much. After all, her parents were once in love, and that didn't stop their marriage from falling apart.
Yeah, these things happen.
Part of her blames herself for their divorce, wondering if she'd been around more, they would have kept it together.
You stop that.
Because, again, this is her tragic backstory compared to everyone else and their fucked up lives.
You see, what's funny about... Okay, divorce as the tragic backstory is kind of funny in retrospect.
I like how she's talking about her tragic backstory to Ilyana, who lost her childhood in limbo with demons.
Divorce is a tragic backstory. It just gets funnier and funnier as more and more kids end up with the same tragic backstory.
Yeah.
And we live in a country where, half of all people have divorced parents or something?
Yeah.
Something like that. So her tragic backstory is now just normal.
Yeah.
She's got a normal childhood.
Look, I'm not going to say that your parents divorcing can't be traumatic, because it definitely can be.
Oh,
it's just that in comparison with the other X-Men just feels like a wet fart.
Especially Ilyana.
Like I said, lost her fucking childhood.
Just lost a decade in a hell dimension.
Yeah,
you know, just a cool decade in a hell dimension. No big deal. It's nothing. Nothing compared to divorce. Divorce is clearly worse.
Anyway, baby girl, their divorce was in the works before you ever met the X-Men. This is not your fault.
Yeah.
Once they make it to the boathouse, they duck in for some scuba gear to explore the lake, and Kitty shoves Ilyana into the lake because there's only one set of tanks.
Great.
So working together, the ladies buddy breathe their way over to the airlock that serves as the back door to the hangar, where she's able to show off the X-Men's whole underground hangar of planes, helicopters, and more, ready to go whenever.
Some of them look fairly realistic. One thing in the corner looks bulbous. What is that thing in the on the...
No, we see it.
What are you?
We see it.
Some Marvel sci-fi horseshit.
Yeah.
It is, whereas the SR-71 is getting more and more accurate. Like, the Blackbird was always clearly meant to be an SR-71, but nobody really knew what that one looked like early on. And it clearly is more realistic now.
The girls dry off using the facilities in the hangar, then take a look at the grounds using the hangar's inbuilt holography suite. Kitty's busy pointing out the roads into town on the map when suddenly an intruder alert pops up. That immediately sets alarm bells ringing in her head, probably just hoping to hell it's not another demon.
Are you... Okay. Do not destroy the house using the plane again. Don't do it. Don't do it. What? I know that's your instincts, but don't do it.
On their way back to the house to check things out, Pride tells that little story, and Illyana is fairly sympathetic. Killing demons can be a real task, and she'd know. Kitty gives her the rock eyebrow on that one, but doesn't press any further.
Oh no, she is.
The people's eyebrow.
The people's eyebrow.
Not that she has much time. The short trip is over in the blink of an eye, and they're waiting outside the door to the living room where the security alarm was triggered. It sounds quiet through the door, but sounds can be deceiving. How about taking a look? Before Kitty even gets the chance to protest, Illyana gets some revenge for the incident at the lake, shoving her friend through the door. However, there are no intruders on the other side of the door. Instead, she's greeted by the beaming friends of her dear friends, greeting her with a surprise birthday party!
Oh!
Yeah, that's exactly what I knew was happening. Not to be like I called it, but like I did. I didn't say it out loud.
I did not see that coming.
That's why I didn't say it out loud, because I didn't want to spoil it.
Is this something I spoiled in the past, or is this something...
No, I just guessed.
Okay.
That's my mutant ability, is that I can guess what's going to happen in a story.
Oh, good. I can never know, because sometimes you know things because I've spoiled them.
Sometimes, but sometimes I also just know.
Yes.
Wow, Wolverine, you're short.
Yeah.
You come up to Scott's chin.
Well, he's like 5'3", and Scott's like 6'3".
Yeah.
That's, you know what? Yeah. And Chris is taller.
Than Scott.
Yeah.
Well, he's the dad, so he has to be.
He shouldn't be. He's like 3 inches shorter.
Great.
Things I just know. He
Right.
has high-heeled boots.
Yeah, it's the heels. I was going to say, he's definitely wearing heels. He strikes me as a man who wears heels.
Lifts.
Of course.
After blowing out the candles on her cake, we hear a bit more about the party. The surprise part was Logan and Kurt's contribution, but the party itself was all Illyana. She knows what it's like to have your birthday missed all too well. She's not going to let her bestie go through that.
Aw.
Kit Kat's got one more thing she wants for her birthday. A big ol' smackaroo on the lips from Petey Boy.
Whoa.
And she seizes the opportunity. At its end, maybe this day wasn't so shit after all, and it's all thanks to Illyana. How'd y'all like that?
That was cute.
4. It was cute.
Yeah, 4. That was cute. Good way to onboard people, too.
Yeah, I think I'm at for what it is, a 4.
Yeah. I mean, it's
not
like
deep.
it's not, yeah.
It's not complicated, but it was nice.
Like, you can't rate it on the scale of normal comics.
And
obviously.
you definitely can't compare it to the big moments in X-Men history.
Right. But, like, for what it is, it's...
And for what it's doing.
It's cool.
What do you think CMRO thought about it?
2. They hate it.
They probably don't like it. 2.5?
2.68. Your instincts are pretty good.
Uh-huh.
I think it's better than it deserves credit for.
Well, we know that people on CMRO have bad opinions.
And I mean, of course they don't like it. They've read everything. But this isn't for them.
Mm-hmm.
It's very explicitly not for them.
Mm-hmm. I like that Kitty and Illyana have different face shapes.
I do too. I like that we're centering this on just the fun adventures of 2 teenage girls.
Yeah.
Just having some fun around the house.
Right.
I like that Chris doesn't shy away from that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Just in general. Anyway, that's what I've got for you guys this week. Please hit the buttons down below. Like, subscribe, hit the bell button. Really appreciate if you do that. Really helps the show out. If you could hit us up over on social media, we are on Tumblr, the social media formerly known as Twitter.
I mean, it's still known as Twitter.
It is.
Let's be real. Plenty of places still call it that.
The bird site.
It's known as Twitter. It might not be officially named Twitter, but it's known as Twitter.
And we don't give websites the same rights as people, so...
Facebook, Blue Sky, Instagram, theoretically.
Blue Sky, theoretically.
Blue Sky, theoretically. Anyway, check us out all those places. If you'd like to throw the show a few bucks, We are on Coffee, Comicsplaining there. If you'd like to send us an email, we are comicsplaining@gmail.com. But there is the news that we covered at the beginning half of the show that we are not covering Thor anymore, so we are not continuing after this. So that's the end of the show. That's it. Bye, folks. Bye.
That's the end of this episode.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.